Celeste was an indie game that I've always heard about, but never really gave much thought into. I had heard it enough to the point to where it felt like it was the essential indie game to talk about. But to me, I didn't really get it. It just seemed like a hard platformer that's just based around climbing a mountain. But ever since I gave time to finally play the game for myself, I can wholeheartedly say I wish I played this game sooner. I cannot understate how this game absolutely captured my attention and blew my initial thoughts to smithereens. It almost hurts that I just minimized it to just climbing a mountain. Like, no, CyKer, it's much more than that. Celeste is not only a game where you climb a mountain, it's an adventure of understanding yourself and overcoming your issues head on. Celeste is a personal journey of healing. We all go through different types of things every single day. Maybe you have to deal with aggravating people torturing you through their ignorance. Maybe you're just struggling with motivation to get the things you want done. Or maybe you feel it's just you. We live lives like this and we wish for an escape from these problematic things. Some people turn to others around them while some painstakingly throw hours into video games. We all have our own methods of coping with the daily lives we live. But some people don't. Things that happened way in the past torments them daily and leaves them to feel extremely negative in the present, sometimes getting to the point of inducing panic attacks when it happens. Finding a way to move past it all is all we want to do, but the answer is never really clear. Celeste is like that in a way. It's a journey of climbing a mountain because you don't know. Maybe you'd learn something about yourself by completing something you never thought you could, or maybe you wouldn't. The answer is never really clear. But you'd do it anyway if it meant that you didn't have to live an unstable life like that. You'd do it if it meant that you would find a way out of the tormenting abyss you're locked in. You'd do it because you'd want to be better. So you would climb the mountain by any means necessary to test your resolve, your understanding, and overall, maybe learn something about yourself. It is because of this why I wish I played Celeste a lot sooner. Back then, there were a lot of previous events that I wanted to get over. I could never really do it because those situations never felt resolved to me. They all felt like open-ended books in a way. I was waiting for the final chapter, but the author never finished writing. And when I'd reached some kind of conclusion through my own, the fear of it reigniting would eventually return, leaving me back at square one. I feel like I could have found my way out a lot quicker than if I just lived as I did currently. Of course, playing it now still did leave a positive lasting effect, but it still hit a deeper part of my heart where I knew I needed this game in an earlier part of my life. It would have pointed me to learning more about the things that I like doing and how it could lead me down a very creative and fun path. I'm not saying that this game would be the end-all be-all and fix all my problems. That's kind of ridiculous, it's a video game. But I believe that Celeste could have been one of the key factors of change in my life if I had played it then. Now, I understand who I am, who I should put myself around, and how I should push myself to supersede even my own expectations. And I'm super glad to be in this state. Everyone must climb their own mountain, and all we can hope from it is to learn more about ourselves to eventually venture all the way up to the summit. I feel if what I had just said resonated within you, then I think you should really play the game for yourself. It's a lot more than what I've already given, so I hope you'll take the time to experience the rest of everything that I haven't said. But this game isn't only for those who require a new outlook or a little push to do better for themselves. It's something anyone really can pick up for themselves. The gameplay in Celeste is one that will capture you just by the appeal of it alone. The movements are so fluid, I sometimes get it confused with a literal ocean. There is no difference between this and a Dasani bottle. It's super clean and enjoyable to play. However, this is a platformer. If there's one thing that I know about climbing a mountain is that it's both mentally and physically taxing. Surely a video game wouldn't be able to capture the same feelings that you would feel climbing a mountain. Somehow they did. When you start climbing the mountain, there's a lot that you're going to realize. Number one, this is not a normal mountain. And number two, it will prove to be very difficult. You will have to be dealing with otherworldly hazards that you can only step on once, sharp and dangerous spikes, moving platforms, and so much more. With all of these combined, plus the game mechanics that already exist in general, such as dashing, this game truly makes you feel like you're climbing a mountain. And that is a pretty dumb thing to say, but I'm serious. Some of these levels will genuinely push your player input to the limit just to eventually hit you with something way worse in later levels. So you can only imagine that I was playing Celeste on something normal and accurate like a keyboard, or something consistent like a controller, right? Yeah, so I played the entirety of Celeste on a fight stick. Usually, you would be spitting out combos in fighting games in one of these, but for me, I was treating my movements just like combos from those fighting games.
Jump, dash, grab. Jump, dash, grab. And then, huh?
Would I suggest it? No. But that's because I wanted the bragging rights, and I wanted to put my fight stick that was collecting dust to great use. But hey, this also puts it into perspective that if I can beat it with a fight stick, you can too. So I better see somebody play the game with a fight stick one day. I just searched it up. My day is ruined. Anyways, moving along, the game can prove to be difficult in several parts of the game, and that may deter quite a bit of people who want to play it. Well, I'm here to tell you that Celeste has taken great steps to ensure that anyone will be able to climb this treacherous mountain. There's a direct assist mode that gives you access to helpful features that will give you an easier time progressing the mountain. But if you prefer not to use it, then there still is something for you. Typically, when you're going on the sprints, trying to understand and complete the levels, things can get pretty heated if you're dying repeatedly. I would know. The developers recognize this, and what they implemented has to be one of the nicest features I think a game like this could ever produce. They allow you to stop playing the game completely without losing progress of where you just were. The developers make it known that climbing a mountain is no easy feat. They actively make it known through the level select letters in games to take breaks. You will honestly learn a lot more by separating yourself from the game by giving you a chance to clear your head, give you an objective, and overall renew the resolve to climb this mountain. But here's a new idea for a transition. Do you hear that? Yeah, you. Do you hear that? Yeah, that's the music from the game Celeste. You know, the game I'm talking about. It's amazing. But what if I told you I didn't like it? You would burn me at the stake, right? It took some time, but I learned to love it over my mountain climbing adventure. When I listened through the soundtrack, it made sense to me why these songs spanned over several minutes, and it's because the music is dynamic. The further you start making it into the level, sometimes things change and build up. It is precisely why this soundtrack evoked these strong feelings out of me, because I could feel my level progression through the form of not only visuals, but sound. I'd be going to these long sprints, puzzles, challenges, hazards, and way more, and the music would be building up some of the most intense feelings within me. I'd be trying to force my way to the very end of the map at the edge of my seat, getting frustrated from dying repeatedly. And just when everything kicks into motion and I'm at the final section, pushing for the end to the point to where my individual hair strands fall out like a bag of Cheetos, I would hear the calmest jingle to certify that I finally reached the end of a difficult and challenging chapter. These level screen finishes are everything to me. The music composition for the game is amazing and also gives a bit of an ethereal feeling. It is certainly unlike anything that I've heard of if I think about it. But I do think that I have to add something extra before I start closing off the video. And that's Celeste is pretty short. Celeste does not take that long to complete. I personally beat the game within 5 hours of gameplay, and I think that's the average runtime for anyone playing it initially. Of course, I didn't play it for 5 hours straight in one day. My blood pressure would never be able to take it, but still, the game is pretty short. This, however, isn't a downside in any fashion, as it really comes off as a game that's short and sweet, like a strawberry pie. But as I say this is only because I had finished only the base part of the game. There's a ton of secret levels to uncover and more challenges to experience, and even a DLC that I haven't even touched on. Depending on how things go, I would not be opposed to actually go and experience these things with how I've enjoyed the game. Of course, I would need a little break as I'm not ready to hop into another challenging game probably for a while. I sense that I'm breaking a little bit more that I do this to myself. But of course, other factors will apply, so I guess be on the lookout. Leading towards my final thoughts now. Celeste truly was a game that I enjoyed and absolutely adore. I appreciate that this game had touched my heart in a way that I wouldn't normally imagine. Comparing the mountain to one's struggle with their own personal issues figuratively was one of the best creative implementations I have ever seen. It was like a direct message sent from home. I loved how the game challenged my gamer spirit and wanted me to improve and understand how to solve the complex strawberry puzzles they put out alongside just progressing the game normally. It provided me with a lot of pain and suffering, but also a lot of relief knowing that I just conquered something that provided me with a struggle for a few 30 minutes or so. The music really tied everything together and made things bearable through these sometimes brutal experiences. Overall, my takeaway from Celeste is that anyone can learn from it and use it as a way of understanding how to tackle some of their own personal issues. The path may not be perfect and you will fall, possibly a whole lot, but it's the fact that you're trying, and that's all that really matters. Because if you give yourself enough time, you will eventually find resolution within yourself and eventually reach the summit. And then from there on, it's all on you. I couldn't recommend any other game more for those who are struggling or just want to experience something heartfelt and enjoyable. That's gonna be all from me now. You are now leaving CyKer's world. See you on your next visit.